So welcome back guys, and in this video I'm showing a Formula Ford cross-flow cylinder head that I'm gas flowing. We're doing it from scratch. Unfortunately I've already started it, so I can't show you that, and then I was just carrying on. I thought, oh, I might as well film this, so this is where we're at, so sorry about that. So far the head has been stripped. I've initially just washed it, and I've bored it out to take lead-free seats. So I've installed these two. I've got the ceramic in that one. That one's bored out as well. So I'm going to fit these first, and then I'm going to put an initial angle on so I can see where I want to port to, because I want to put a certain radius in the port. So what I'm going to do is just mark the cylinder head with a cutter so I know where I can machine to. And then I'm going to put a gasket on each side, mark it to the gasket to make sure that's all good, and start to port. So I'm going to carry on filming from here and show you guys what it looks like done. At the moment it's not great. I think someone's had a bit of a go at it themselves, but I'm hoping they haven't touched the short turn on the inlets and exhaust, which it doesn't feel like they have, so that should be good. And yeah, I'll carry on. So the next process I'm doing is just getting the exhaust seat that I fitted level with the cylinder head. So I've just moved the cutter out a tiny bit so I can see when it touches the cast iron, or I can feel it and hear it as well. I'll see if it picks it up through the GoPro. But that's the sinted. And then as we cut down, you should hear it change tone when we touch the cast. Which is just there, I'm just touching it now. So two more of them to do. I mean, when the cylinder head is refaced, the valve seat will just disappear. You won't be able to see where that is, really, unless you really stare for it. It blends it in really nice. After I've done this, what I'm going to do then is actually put a light cut for each seat, inlet and exhaust, and that will show me the three angles that I want to use, and then I know exactly where I can blend to. That won't be the finished cut because this might be having bronze guides in it, but I want to port it all first. So I'll film this third one. Once again, I heard the tone change, but I don't know if the GoPro picked it up, but we're into the cast iron. So what I'm doing now is just cutting the seat because I want to see this bottom angle here. So I've not cleaned up the actual seating part of the valve because I don't want to drop them in too much at the moment. I'm just trying to get this third angle on, so I'm going to do that on all of these 8 seats. So I'm now gas flowing the Formula Ford cylinder head, so I'm just getting it all set up ready. So the first thing that I'm going to use is a round stone, similar to that but bigger, and then start my shaping around here first. to do now is change over from a carbide burr, which basically looks like one of these, and I'm now going to fit a stone, which is one of these, to smooth it out, and then I'll be finishing it off with different grit of emery. But I've got the shape that I want, which is the most important thing. This is the exhaust port, and the same on the inlet. And now I've just got to finish it. I'm going to have the inlets a bit rougher than the exhaust, but what I do need to do is go and change the battery in my GoPro, because we are going flat nearly. So that's most of the polishing done, most of the shaping done. I've just got to finish off a little bit that I'm going to do now. I'm not going to film that bit, but I'll film the rest of it being done. Sorry if I'm shouting, I've got earphones in. That's all the porting done. So what I'm going to do now is cut the seats, get all them so they're exactly the same height, measure the spring installed height to make sure that's set correctly, and then it's skim all the manifold faces and just finish getting it finished basically. Right, let me show you. So that's down the exhaust ports, or throat I should say. And then I will give you a proper show round once I've finished it now, because it's just a bit more machining and a good wash. So I've cut the valve seats now to the right depth. Well, the inlet, the exhaust seats have got to go one more, but I'm not actually too happy with the play in the exhaust guides. So the exhaust guides have got a little bit too much play in them. The inlets are okay, but what I'm doing now is just measuring the installed height. So I'm doing that by measuring from the spring seat base, which is here, and I'm measuring to the top of the retainer, and then I'm measuring the thickness of the retainer and taking that away from the first figure, which will give me the installed height of the spring. Now I'm after 32 mil for the installed height on the spring, and I've got 32 mil on the inlet, but I've got 31.8 on the exhaust. That's fine though, because I've got to do one more cut on the exhaust to get the seat right once I've fitted the new guide. Now I was going to fit a bronze thin wall guide, but as I've drilled through to fit the first one, it's actually, because it makes this part of the cast quite thin, it cracked it, and then as soon as I come to install the bronze, it just blew it out. So what I've got to do now is bore these castings away to fit a proper guide in there. So to do that, I've got an attachment for my Myra, which is specifically for doing like Pintos and Crossflows and an American like Chevys and Ford V8s, the early ones, where the valve guide is bored into the cylinder head, so it's part of the casting. What I've got for this machine, or to make this easier, is this tool made by Myra. And what this does is it allows the setup of the original guide using the existing pilots from the Myra to make sure it's all centered and going to cut good, and then this is basically then locked off and it's used as a drilling jig. So the first thing you do is bore the cast iron out to take the new guide, and then you ream it to get the right clearance with that. And to start off, you have to centralise all this because it's on a ball, it's on a swivel and ball and a magnet. So we use these to lock the to lock it and get it sitting square on the seat with the pilot, and then bore through. So I'll film this. So using this machine, you're going to have to bear with me a sec. I'm not going to try and hide anything and make out that I know how to use it perfectly straight away, because I don't remember the last time I used it, to be honest. But I vaguely remember how to use it. It's pretty simple, to be fair. So let's tackle it together, shall we? I will find somewhere to place the camera. Can we get it up here? Hopefully you can catch me in shot and the cylinder head. So with this, I've got to use two different size pilots, and that's because I'd already tried to thin wall this guide here, and when I put the thin wall through, I broke part of the, I'll show you, I broke part of the guide boss, and that's the reason why we're going to have to fit proper guides. So this pilot is for the 3 which are still the right size, and then this one is for the one that's been bored out big, which I'm going to do that one first. Now, because this is a cast iron cylinder head and the head face is parallel to the valves, I don't actually need to use the stand for this. And what that also helps with is it just takes something else that can move around, so it just makes the machine a lot sturdier. So this is an electromagnet which just plugs into the 240 volt, and it's pretty simple. One is the magnet, so as you can see, it's magnetised to the cylinder head, and 2 is to demagnetise it. This handle here allows all this to pivot and lock off. So what we're going to do first is put this through here and all the way down until I can just nip the grub screw. So I'm going to nip that grub screw, nip that grub screw, and then just make sure I can turn it all nice to centralise it into the guide bore. Flick the magnet on, make sure I can still turn it, and then nip up that there. Release that. So now I'm pretty confident that this is sitting perfectly parallel with the valve guide. So where I've not used the machine for quite a while, this pin in here seized up and wouldn't allow this yellow part to collapse onto the seat properly, because it should fall down lower or sit lower on the seat, like, ooh, bloody hell, it's still a bit warm. There we go. So basically what I forgot was this needs to sit quite low on there, like that. So what I'll just have to do is heat this part up, and now hopefully it should all start to work again. Okay. In fact, I better tighten this up first. I'm glad I didn't make out I knew what I was doing with this. Okay, lovely. Right, now that collar stays on the seat, which is the bit that I forgot about. That gets installed there. And now we should have a bit more luck drilling through. I'm going to hoover my mess up. And then the last thing for me to do is now to ream it to size. Try and make some space. Now the ream is a stepped ream, so the first part is the size of the drill bit, and then the second part is the size we want to get to. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to ream it the other way. And the reason being is where the head's all gas flowed and everything, there's the shape of the port, so the ream will naturally try and pull one side, where the rocker face side of it is parallel, so it will just start to ream good straight away, like that. And to do that, the kit comes with a gear reducer. So even though the drill is going quite fast, when I hold this, it drives it slow. Cast iron, so it doesn't need any lubrication, but now I can just, with a little bit of pressure, send the ream through. So then, with a bit of luck, the guide will be a press fit in. Lovely. So now what I'm going to do is get rid of this pilot, put the other pilot in, which is the right size, and then repeat the process another 3 times, and then we'll carry on doing bits on the head. So that's all 4 of them bored out and reamed, and now that's this old bit of kit going back away in a cupboard, and let's hope we use it a bit more than every 10 years or something like that. But once again, it just goes to show that some of these old bits of equipment are so the guides are in now, and what I'm doing is I'm cutting the seats to get them all at exactly the same height, making sure I get all my calculations and everything right, and then it's a wash and build. The next job I'm going to do on this is just vacuum test the seats to make sure that the seal for the valve to the seat is perfect. Once again, it's a race cylinder head, so we can't cut no corner. Well, we don't cut corners anyway, but it's got to seal perfectly, because with these Formula Fords, we're after every single last little bit of power, because they are really down to the 1s and 2s of horsepower. So I'm hoping it vacs up perfect. I'm then just going to double check the valve spring installed right, wash, build, and then it's ready for my customer to collect. So it's all washed and ready to build now. My customer's going to paint it himself, so he needs to just finish tidying that up. But I thought I would just show you the cylinder head before I put the valves in, so you can see in the throat and things. But that's the inlet tract. I've put my phone down there to light one up a bit better, and then that's down the exhaust. Don't know if the camera's picking it up too good, but it looks really good. Really happy with it. So I'm hoping my customer's going to be happy with it too. And I'm hoping it flows loads of CFM and it produces a race-winning engine. That's always the plan. So we've got 45-degree seat, nice 3-angle cut, lead-free seats on the exhaust. I've gone through the installed on the springs. These are Kent springs that he supplied. So what I'm going to do now is build it, and then I'll show you it all finished. So the last thing for me to do, the head's completely finished, but I'm going to do a vac test with the valve in the cylinder head and the spring installed, and I thought I'd show you that as well. So what we're going to do is put the vacuum machine on each one of the ports. This is the exhaust, and this is the inlet. And then what we're looking for on my Pro Valve machine is we want the vacuum test to go into the green. If it goes into the green, we've got a perfect seal. Let me show you with my finger. So this is one of the we've got all different pads. So this is one of the pads. Switch the vacuum pump on. If I put my finger over it, into the green. So I'm going to put the camera down on top of this MGC block. Put the cylinder head on this bit of paper so I don't scratch the bed of the machine. Switch the vac pump on. Starting on cylinder 4, and it's straight round to the green. If I grab the camera again. And then what I'll do is I'll just quickly blip through the rest of these. Yeah, green. 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 Spin it round to the exhaust. Green. And there we go, we've got a perfect test. So what's good about that is I've vac tested the valves with no spring on, so it was just the seats touching once I'd ground them in, that is, and I've vac tested them with the springs on, so it's all nice and clean and done. So I'm going to put this on the bench, and then I'll just, in fact I might put it on top of the cleaner, and I'll show you around the cylinder head. So there we go, that's it all finished now, waiting for my customer to come and collect. I've just wiped off the numbers that I wrote on the cylinder head for the valve depth, so I know that they're all within 5 thousandths of each other, inlet and exhaust. You can probably just see number 4 on there and number 1, because I've ground them all into the seat. So that's the head face. It's a nice smooth finish. But what we did is the final cut, we just sped the machine up so it just leaves a slight edge to grip the gasket, but it looks lovely, so I'm happy with that. And then that's the exhaust port looking from the roof of the port. I've checked all my port dimensions as well to make sure that it conforms with the rules. Then we've got a Kent spring on there. I've got low friction valve stem seals on the inlet. and I've got a nice inlet port. Once again, I've checked all the dimensions in the Formula Ford rules. And then there's the Kent springs. I always try and get the spring so it's pointing the right way. Just, I don't know, I think it's a little bit of OCD with that, but I always think it looks a bit better when my customer collects it. We've machined both the inlet face and the exhaust face because they was not that nice really. So I've sorted them now as well. And that is it. I am going to, I might even put a little bit of paint on it. He did say he wanted to paint it himself, but I just think I prefer it to leave here perfect, looking really nice. So I might do that in a bit. And that is the end of this Formula Ford cylinder head video. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you if you could subscribe to the channel, please, because that would be appreciated. And give it a like, hit the alert bell, and watch more of the videos, please. I might change some things about on the channel soon. I've mentioned in a previous video 2 MGB engines that I'm going to do and run them on the dyno. That's definitely happening and going to happen quite soon. We just needed to get through a backlog of work, and also I've been buying the bits for it because what I want to do is strip them both, machine them, build them, get them done all in one video. So we're getting the bits together and then we're going to crack on with that. And yeah, that's it guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. We'll see you on the next one, and take care. See you later. Bye bye.